Colors of Politics, NRI, on RI Free Radio. Just as the rainbow has many colors, there are multiple opinions and views of the way our state government should be run. Let us be to the point and deliver the truth. It is time to break down the colors of politics.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Colors of Politics on RI Free Radio. Do you know that you can download the TuneIn app and select the RI Free Radio station, and you can listen to Colors of Politics on the TuneIn app, RI Free Radio, at 12:30 and 5:30 Eastern Standard Time daily. Find us on Twitter and on Facebook at Colors of RI. And tonight's show is brought to you by Rhode Island doTERRA. Essential oils, healthy products, and more found at tinyurl.com/RIDOTERRA. And if you would like to have your business mentioned or service or organization, just send us a note, and for a very small nominal fee, we will also mention you on our show as a sponsor for an episode. So what's going on, Rhode Island? It looks like we have some crazy amounts of possible voter fraud. After all, first the DMV incorrectly affiliates approximately 12,000 people about a week and a half ago. And then now we have the voter rolls showing that we have 189,000 people that are registered to vote, more than what the census says we have eligible to vote in Rhode Island. So almost 200,000 people are on the voter registration rolls that should not be. And yet, our lovely top elite in Rhode Island tries to tell us that there's no way there could be fraud in our state. The thing is, Rhode Island has been the laughing stock of so much. Bottom of the list of everything. And always coming up in the bottom of the list. Do you know, let's throw a positive thing out there. One of the only things that Rhode Island is good at and actually is something that other states look to, it is our agricultural setup, our farmers markets, the way that we help our local farms get in contact with consumers, and how we have lots of different farmers markets throughout the state, all different schedules, and we talk about them, we share them with each other, and we even have some of the larger size farmers markets have a way for those on the SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Program, to be able to use those benefits at a farmer's market so they can also get their fresh, local fruits, vegetables, and meats and eggs and such from farms right here in Rhode Island. So, good job, Rhode Island. We do something right. Wow, guys, seriously though, if you're not waking up this election cycle for what's going on, I'm not really sure what it would take. I suppose you can purposely stay blind to all of politics, as so many people do and choose to, because it can get very complicated. It can get very difficult to try to figure this out or that out. However, you can have a handful of topics that are important to you, and you can ignore the rest. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There's no right way and there's no wrong way. But trying to be involved in some way is really the good thing to do. Because without having any idea what is going on ever, or who's the ones behind it, or who's the ones fighting against it, how are you to vote accordingly, and how are you going to be able to have a say if something really does go against what you believe in. So you got to try to stay abroad and informed on the topics that do matter to you. So please do that. So here we are in our 9th or 10th episode. How bad is it that I've already lost track, and we're so in our infancy on Colors of Politics. But I am your host, Amy G, and exactly who am I? I've been informed that a couple of people would like to know. So, I reside in southern Rhode Island, in Exeter to be exact. I'm Amy G, and I am an independent, and I am actually running for school committee in the town of Exeter. I am also the director of Rhode Islanders Against Mandated HPV Vaccinations, and I am the host of Colors of Politics. I am a mother of 2, and I love being involved. I have to say, I got into politics and got into activism unexpectedly, unplanned, which is usually how it works for most people, and dove headfirst, and I'm addicted. I like to stay informed. I like meeting new people, and the best part of the radio show is getting to interview and speak with the people that are active and involved and within our General Assembly. And we've had some great people on our show already, and we have podcasts of all of them. So I really hope that you go back through and listen to the different people that have been interviewed on the show up till this point, and we will try to make sure we are interviewing a couple more. November 8th is upon us so soon for our general election, and unfortunately in Rhode Island the mail-in ballots were already due on the 18th of October, and hopefully we can follow Massachusetts in the future. This year, Massachusetts is giving, I think it's about a 5-day window where you can early vote, and it's only the week before the general election. And you get about 5 days within the week before the general election to do your early voting and plan accordingly, versus everyone in the entire state in really long lines all on the same day. So hopefully we can take something from that, because it definitely sounds like it's more conducive to people with work schedules and different things, and there's tons and tons of people that want to vote and cram that small amount of time in to try to do it on that day between either their kids or their job or anything like that. So I would love to hear more from you guys. What do you want on the show? What do you want to hear? What do you want to have me interview? Colors of Politics can be found on Twitter and Facebook at symbol Colors of RI. Send a message. Who would you like to be interviewed? What do you want to know more about? Is there a specific bill that you would like to be highlighted and discussed and talked about on air? All those kinds of things. We want to make this also what you want to hear. And so our listeners can drive what happens by simply letting us know and giving us some guidance as to what you like or what you don't like. Criticism is acceptable too. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on a topic that I am well versed in. And that would be the HPV vaccine mandate in Rhode Island. For any of you that are unaware, this mandate was signed and made official in the summer of 2014, and it was made to become effective in August of 2015. So now that we are 2016, we had one full school year of this mandate, and we are now into our second school year. Now, mind you, Rhode Island is one of only 3 locations in the whole country that mandates this vaccine that is marketed to prevent cancer. However, it technically only shows reducing signs of the human papillomavirus, HPV. And it is way too soon for us to know if that will mean down the road it does prevent the cancer or if it does not. But because it does show signs of preventing the strains of the virus that are in the vaccine, it is assumed and advertised that that will prevent the cancer. However, human papillomavirus has over 100 different strands. And the vaccine, the original one, prevented 4. The new updated one prevents 9. Same basic type of vaccine. 5 more strands included in it. Also double the amount of aluminum. So we went from 250 mcgs in Gardasil with preventing 4 strands to 500 mcgs in Gardasil 9, preventing 9 strands. These are just some facts. I'm just letting you know about how it works. So human papillomavirus, it is spread by intimate contact. It is not something that affects the classroom. In fact, even if you have the virus, it won't affect your day-to-day walking around, talking. You're not going to be coughing, sneezing. You're not going to affect your own performance at school, and you sure are not going to affect anyone else's performance at school. So here we have a case where the Rhode Island Department of Health took something as this vaccine and mandated it to attend school when it cannot affect school. So this is a very black and white situation, in my opinion, because it really is not even relevant whether or not this vaccine is good or bad, whether or not it's effective, whether or not it's efficient, whether or not it's dangerous, whether or not it's this or whether or not it's that. It's pretty black and white. Absolutely in no way, shape, or form, if you are diagnosed with the human papillomavirus, will you affect the classroom? Why are we letting this kind of stuff happen? Why are we saying, yes, it's okay for you to tell me what I have to do for a medical procedure? Even if you want to get this vaccine for your children, there's nothing wrong. If you want to get it, you want to get it. But why is it okay to be told you have to attend school and then to have the school nurse track it? And then for those that choose that this isn't for them, it's not something that they want for their family, or maybe something they would prefer to do at 16, 17 versus at 11 or 12. Well, the Department of Health is saying your only option is to get a religious exemption. You have to sign this religious exemption form in order to opt out of having the human papillomavirus vaccine, currently the Gardasil 9. Why is this okay? This is why, as the director of Rhode Islanders Against Mandated HPV Vaccinations, I have been fighting this. And there was 5 bills introduced in the State House in 2016. And a bill, House Bill 7899, by Sherry Roberts as the main sponsor, co-sponsored by multiple others, is a terrific bill for more than one reason. Not only would it take away vaccine for sexually transmitted disease of intimate contact so that any future vaccine that could be made in that category cannot be automatically mandated by the Department of Health. It is also an informed consent bill, which would require schools having any form of correspondence with parents in regards to vaccinations to have a sentence somewhere on that correspondence that says religious and medical exemptions are available in the state of Rhode Island. Because they like to use the word mandate, and you cannot attend school, and all of these very strong pushing words without letting you know that you do have a religious exemption option. So let's take a sidebar for a moment. What is a religious exemption? What is that definition? And how does that work? Well, the most popular misconstrued concept of a religious exemption is that it has to be known through the entire religion, like the priest or the pastor or the whoever head of the religious organization states that vaccines are against the religion. That's not what a religious exemption is. A religious exemption is a strongly held personal belief system. Now, I don't know about you, but I know I've personally witnessed if you attend a church organization and everyone sits through, listens, and walks out, and different people have different conversations about whatever the topic that week is. Not everybody walks away with the same interpretation. Not everybody walks away with the same perception of the interpretation of the words of the Bible, etc. It is not the same exact for every single person. And that is how religion works. It is personal to you. It is your interpretation of your belief, and you strongly hold that belief, and you have every right to it, even if you attend the same church or the same, whatever your religion calls its building. You don't have to have the same exact concept as everyone else in that room. There is multiple lines of the Bible that many people have chosen to view as God saying your body is your body in its truest form. To respect your body, to respect what God created. So many people do sign a religious exemption form because they believe the Bible tells them that their body, the way it is the way that God wants them to have it. There's other people that choose that they pray to their higher power, and their higher power guides them. And if their higher power guides them not to have certain vaccines, that is their strongly held belief system. That classifies as a religious exemption. So I just want to give you guys the fact that there is a misconstrued perception out there that a religious exemption has to mean that the entire religion states within itself that everyone in that religion should be against a vaccination, and that is not how a religious exemption works, or how religion in general works, whether it's about vaccines or anything else. Different people have different interpretations. I mean, the next controversial topic would be abortions and Catholics, and I know people that are totally pro-life and totally pro-choice and go to the same church. So, again, it's your perception and how you interpret your religion and how you interpret the most specific form of the definition, your personally held belief system gives you every right to sign that form. More importantly, the Rhode Island Department of Health said you can use that form as a philosophical exemption, as the way the law is written in Rhode Island, according to them, gives you the legal right for it to be both. However, the form itself that you're signing says nothing of that. So feel free to contact the Rhode Island Department of Health directly. Question them about that. Ask them about them. Ask them to provide you with the exact piece of the law that says, yeah, I can use this as a philosophical and a religious. Because they have yet to provide that to me, but they have stated it more than once. And it's on video, actually. It's on YouTube from one of their public meetings that they had, where the director, Dr. Alexander Scott, said it can be used as both philosophical and religious. So going back now on point to the HPV vaccination. Well, the way that it is mandated in Rhode Island is it's a 3-shot series. And according to the recommended dosage of the series, you should have all 3 within 6 to 8 months. But Rhode Island Department of Health has it that you get the first before you enter 7th, the 2nd before you enter 8th, and the 3rd before you enter 9th. And they say that this does not affect the dosing or effectiveness of the vaccine, even though it is much different than the recommended dose put out by the CDC in their recommended vaccination scheduling. Now, guess what the CDC just came out with at their ACIP meeting just 2 weeks, week and a half ago? They have changed the recommended dosing for the HPV vaccine. They now only recommend 2 doses, not 3. So here we are again, Rhode Island Department of Health jumping the gun, mandating 3 doses across 3 years, and the very next year that it went live in Rhode Island, the CDC comes out and says, oh, we don't need a 3rd dose after all. We only need 2. And that, by the way, folks, was already being investigated, was already being looked at, because I've read studies where it's already being looked at that you actually only need 1 dose. This was all readily available and accessible by the Rhode Island Department of Health before this was ever signed into regulation in the summer of 2014. They chose, knowing all of this data was happening, knowing that these studies were continuing, and knowing that there was already data to show that 3 doses would not be necessary, they still mandated it. So is this something you want to be trusting? Is this something that you want to be okay with? Because I don't know about you, but I don't like bureaucrats that we did not elect into office making decisions, specifically medical decisions, for my children in order for them to attend school, and the icing on the cake, the disease cannot even affect school. We should be like the rest of the nation, where our legislator votes. The Rhode Island Department of Health recommends. They do not have the final say. Rhode Island is one of the only states in the country that lets the Department of Health have the full authority over this matter. And I think it's time we take the rug out from under them, because they don't care if we like what they're doing, and they don't care what our opinion is. They keep their job anyway. They're not elected. They don't get voted in or out. They are there, and they can do what they want. So, this is some important information to keep in mind. Some really important things to think about. Now, what else is really important to know, if you haven't already heard me speak or share information about this before in the past, the same year, 2014, that this was mandated in the state of Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Department of Health received an HPV vaccination grant for over $638,000. Yes, you heard that right. Over $500,000 for one vaccine. The best part? The kicker? The oh my gosh retardedness about that large sum of money? Not one penny buys the vaccine. That's over $500,000 to market and push and put out there with different strategies to get people to take the HPV vaccine. So, again, I have a big problem with this because that's our tax money. That's over $500,000 just to the state of Rhode Island. Never mind however much went to however many states. Just to marketing and advertising and personnel salary specific to that same topic, all for one particular vaccination that will not affect a classroom. And who ever heard of an HPV epidemic before there was a vaccine? Yes, 80% of all adults have been exposed to HPV in their lifetime and have had it. See, human papillomavirus is asymptomatic, and most times you will have it and your body will fight it and you will never even know you had it. And if you are getting regular checkups and regular health doctor visits, etc., you won't have an issue detecting when signs come up if you happen to have a dose of the virus that goes beyond just being asymptomatic. Because, yes, we do have cervical cancer in this country. Yes, cervical cancer has been tied to the human papillomavirus. How many billions of people are in our population? Approximately 4,000 die from cervical cancer each year. Now, does that mean that those lives are not important? Of course not. But it does mean that you have less than a 1% chance of dying from cervical cancer before a vaccine ever even came out. But this isn't part of what they're telling you. They're marketing this vaccine. So, I encourage you to find out more information or to get the Rhode Island HPV info pack, which you can find at rihpv.nohpvmandate.com, where you can get a lot of the facts I just mentioned, plus more, like a statement from the Merck website itself. You can also sign the petition, join in the fight, get on the email list, donate, and more at nohpvmandate.ri.com. You'll see a link for the petition, a link for the blog, a link for the Facebook discussion group. You can also follow on Twitter My Rights, MYRIGHTSRI, on Twitter. And again, you're listening to Colors of Politics on RI Free Radio, rifreeradio.org, and with the TuneIn app. Find us on Facebook and Twitter @ Colors of RI. This episode brought to you by Rhode Island doTERRA Essential Oils and More, tinyurl.com/RIDOTERRA. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for listening to Colors of Politics.